This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The winter sports are finally kicking off this week. Well, technically the Wings kicked off this past weekend, but we're finally into what I would consider to be my favorite time of the sports year, where we have the Wings, Pistons, and Lions all playing at the same time. And while, yes, the Lions have been largely a disappointment, I am excited for what the Wings season is going to be bringing us, especially the Wings season. But I'm honestly excited about the Pistons season too. Like it's been a rough preseason. Let's get that out of the way. But there's a lot to look forward to with that team, and I'm just happy basketball is back. I'm happy hockey's back, and obviously we got football as well. So this is the Fan Report, where it's by fans.
For fans.
I'm Nick, and with me is Andrew.
Hello. It's
gonna be a fun season, and we're going to have a lot to talk about throughout that season, and you can keep up with us on Twitter at RealFanReport. We are brought to you by Detroit Sports Podcast at Detroit Podcast on Twitter as well. This is episode number 177 of this show.
And I mean, at the time of taping, Red Wings are 2-0.
They are 2-0. They do have a game tonight going up against the Kings.
Neither the Red Wings nor the Pistons have a regular season loss at the time of taping.
It helps when one of them hasn't started, but yes, that is entirely factually correct. I'll tell you what, that Wings team's been kind of fun to watch. That first game was just a masterclass of
8 goals in 2 games?
Good hockey. And then the second game, they didn't, honestly, they kind of got outplayed in a lot of ways, but they grinded out a victory and they made their opportunities count and were able to beat not exactly a great New Jersey Devils team. Not exactly a great or a good New Jersey Devils team, but a win on the road in a hostile home opener environment. That's never easy to do, especially early in the year. And I love the fact that we have a 6'8", 250-pound winger. Elmer Soderblom has been tons of fun to watch so far. I've never seen a 6'8" man be able to effortlessly put the puck between his legs and maintain control. And we got to see that against the Devils. That was awesome. It was awesome. But, Andrew, we got the Pistons season and home opener this week.
Yes, sir.
You'll be there. Lucky you. Do you want to start with the Pistons, or do you just want to get the Lions talk out of the way? Because we do have a little bit of Lions talk, and there are some grumblings going on.
To be honest, I can at least maintain a shred of optimism about the Pistons, but I'm so down bad in the Lions, I kind of want to end the show on a more positive note.
All right, we do that. Let's get over the Lions. Reports came out today that Levi Onwuzurike is out for the year. There's one defensive lineman.
Yep.
Josh Pascal has yet to play a game.
MIA.
Romeo Quara yet to return to practice, and they still don't have plans for him to be practicing even this week after the bye. Jameson Williams also yet to return to practice. Still has no reports of him returning this week at all. Now, optimistically speaking, when we drafted Jameson Williams, we were thinking, week 6, right? He'll be back week 6. And then they've been
talking around Thanksgiving for a while. But.
Well, okay, that was the initial thought process. And then reports started coming out in the offseason that, he's going to be back like week 4, week 3. There was one crazy report that said maybe he'll be ready for week 1.
No chance.
And I was like, there's no way. And I've always been in the belief that like week 8, week 9, maybe week 10 was kind of where I was thinking. But the fact that he has yet to practice is not only concerning, but is honestly disappointing as well. And you could honestly, if you were to tell me that, or if a report were to come out that says that the Lions are holding Jameson Williams back because there's just no reason for him to play at this point, and they don't want to overstress that ACL repaired knee in a season that really doesn't, it's a lost season at this point. They're what, 1-5? Sure. 1-4, whatever. I'd believe it. Honestly, I would. But there
I wouldn't be happy about it.
No, I wouldn't either. But there is still some value in Jameson Williams coming and playing this year. It is his rookie year. He can gain some reps, gain some experience. But no matter what, I expect
No
him
such
to.
thing as redshirting when you're a rookie.
Well, I mean, there is in the NBA apparently. But I go ask Joel Embiid. I do expect him to play this year. But if a report were to come out to say that they are taking it slow, I'd get it because you don't want to bring him back too early. In a season that is lost already. So I get it at that point. But either way, do we have to start questioning Brad Holmes? We've been questioning Dan Campbell for, honestly, probably a year now. Do we have to start questioning Brad Holmes as well? And we talked about last week how Dan Campbell can't go into next season having only won 4 or 5 games this year. You can't be 8-30 or whatever going into year 3, or 8-20 something, whatever it is, going into year 3, and expect to be able to build any type of culture, gain any type of respect, or get any player to buy into you. Can't have that. But does Brad Holmes deserve some of this heat also? He put this roster together. He put together the 32nd, the worst defense in the entire NFL, and for a while was a record-breaking worst defense.
Yeah.
He put the personnel together out there, and he chose not to beef up positions and core groups on the field that he knew going into the season were going to be shorthanded.
I mean, you're not wrong. Lions fans in general, after this past offseason, many of them were very high in the draft, but fairly disappointed in free agency because of the fact that, we did nothing to
Didn't do anything.
Improve in the trenches on the defensive line.
They didn't really improve anywhere in free agency outside of wide receiver.
We brought in DJ Chark. He's largely done nothing. We brought in Deshaun Elliott. He got hurt. We brought in Jared Davis. He didn't make the team. We didn't really bring anything for that front seven. And that was, anything on the defense was
Well, let me ask you this. What free agent have we brought in that has largely been effective this offseason? Can you name a free agent that we brought in that's kind of stood out to you?
No.
Because I can't. Did we bring in Kaminsky this offseason?
I don't think so.
John Kaminsky, when did we bring him in? I think it was this offseason. I do. Which he would probably be the biggest name of the bunch at that point, and or the most effective of the bunch, and he's hurt. So he's not even on the field anymore. And I don't know when he's supposed to be back.
Yeah, the two guys, because we did need, the two defensive players that we brought in that actually did get to play, and Deshaun Elliott, Mike Hughes, they've both been largely disappointing / hurt in the secondary.
Mike Hughes has been an okay nickel corner. Okay. Not great, not terrible, but Deshaun Elliott was okay when he played. Some downs looked lost, other downs made some plays, and now he's hurt, so he's not even playing. Every single free agent addition has been a net minus. And that's a problem. And that, in my mind, that is a referendum on Brad Holmes and him putting this personnel together. And the fact that you chose to bring in guys like Deshaun Elliott and Mike Hughes and, piecemeal guys. You didn't bring in names. You didn't bring in anything. You brought in guys that are a dime a dozen you can find off the scrap heap anywhere. So to say that I'm surprised none of them are really producing, no. In all honesty, no. But they're not.
And no one, that's why people were down on free agency to begin with. No one had high expectations for the people we brought in.
But isn't that a problem?
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not.
You're staring the worst defense in the league in the face.
Yeah.
And you knew you had holes going into the year. You knew you were shorthanded in a lot of positions because of lingering injuries or lasting injuries, and you chose to do nothing about it.
And I think what pains me the most about this is that the NFC North would have been wide open this year.
Honestly, absolutely, because the best team in the NFC North is the
Chicago
Vikings.
Sucks, and the Vikings are a beatable team.
You almost beat them, and you should have beat them if your damn coach wasn't an idiot in the game. If Dan Campbell coaches that game right, you win that game. And honestly,
the Vikings are going to sleepwalk to a.
they really are, because
division
the Packers are no good unless Aaron Rodgers decides to become superhuman again. Because what is he throwing the ball to? The Bears are just god awful, and yet they have a better record than we do. The Bears have won more games than we have.
The Jets have won more games than we have. The Giants have won many more games than we have.
Honestly, the Jets and the Giants is an absolute referendum on the way this team is coached and constructed.
I agree.
Because the Jets, they don't have a ton of talent. In fact, I would argue they have much less talent than the Lions do. The Giants, they don't have a lot of talent. You could make an argument they even have less talent than the Lions. You're right there.
Yeah. The difference, Brian Dable's looking like a damn good coach.
He sure is. And you know what it is? He's making his scheme work for his players. He built a scheme around the talent that he has. He didn't come in and say, we're doing it this way, and that's it.
Which was one of the downfalls of Matt Patricia, was he was literally giving away quality players because he didn't fit either the culture or the defense.
Players, but one of those quality
like all-pro players
is going to be one of the defensive players of the year.
Yeah.
And Darius Slay. Like, it's... And I get it. It's, the grass is greener with Dan Campbell than Matt Patricia. Is it, though? Like, yes, it is far less... There's a lot more optimism with Dan Campbell than there is with Matt Patricia. But we're not seeing any more wins. And the fact that teams like the Jets and the Giants are winning ball games, that kind of... that is a referendum on guys like Dan Campbell, Aaron Glenn, and Brad Holmes, because that tells me it doesn't matter in this league it doesn't necessarily matter. Got to rephrase. Doesn't necessarily matter how much talent you have on your side of the field, as long as they're coached properly and they're executing. Two things that coaches can help control. Because that's what the Giants and the Jets are doing. They're executing, and they're put into positions to succeed by their coaching staff. And the Lions are not doing either of those things. Brian Daboll has gone for it on fourth down 4 times this year. They're what, 5-1? Dan Campbell's. I think I saw the graphic. Dan Campbell's gone for it like 54 times this year, or some ridiculous number. And they're in last place.
Like we said last show, it's like he's playing Madden.
Aggressivism is not necessarily the answer, especially when you don't have the talent to take advantage of it. Play or coach to your team's ability and your personnel. And honestly, the personnel's got to be put on the field to actually succeed as well, and that hasn't been done. So I'm not just speaking to and about Dan Campbell alone here. I'm talking about the entire coaching staff. Aaron Glenn has had a huge step down this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
This season. He was looked at as potential head coaching jobs.
Not anymore.
He isn't anymore. He's coaching to save his damn job now. Aubrey Pleasant doesn't look good anymore. Calvin Shepard looks terrible. As a whole, the coaching staff on defense looks awful.
But that isn't entirely on Brad Holmes. That's Dan Campbell bringing guys in on the coaching staff.
No, I'm. What is on Brad Holmes is the lack of personnel put on the defensive side of the ball to be successful, knowing you had big pieces that were hurt going into the year. A guy you drafted early in the second round, or when did they grab Pascal? Whatever. One of your high draft picks from this past draft. You're probably your best pass rusher from last season. Both out long term with an injury. I would think a smart GM would look for guys to at least piece that together, not just say, screw it, we're going to run with it. Because that's what it looks like happened. Like, I want to be optimistic about this team. I want to be excited. I want to be happy. I love the Lions and I love this team. And honestly, for a while, I loved the energy Dan Campbell brought. But if you're not winning games, that energy can and will backfire on you. Because then you just look ridiculous.
Just out of curiosity, though, what are your expectations for Pascal when he comes back? Because he has not played yet this year, but reports from Dan Campbell today, he put in back-to-back practices this week.
The fact that that's the bar we've got to clear, Jesus Christ. Jesus. Expectations. I don't really have much expectations for Pascal. My expectations are to just be a productive player, be a net positive player. Yep. That's all I need.
Which means be better than what we have.
Right, because we don't have one of those on the defensive line right now. Aiden Hutchinson, not but a net positive. Sorry, he's not. He's largely been ineffective for every single quarter of the season outside of one half against Washington. That's it. And maybe he's hurt because he did come up hurt in that Washington game, and I don't think he's been right since.
Yeah, I do. That was something I haven't thought about. Like, I do wonder if his sudden shortcomings are because of a lingering injury, or
only
if he
reason
just
I'm not 100%
took advantage of a bad O-line in Washington.
I think it one has to do with that because two, as soon as the defensive or as soon as halftime hit, and you went into the second half of that football game, and they started running bootlegs and rollouts for Carson Wentz. Hutchinson never got back to the quarterback. Hutchinson sure looks like a one-trick pony right now, a bull rush guy with a high motor that can get into the backfield that way and then just runs right by everybody.
Yeah.
Like, I want Aiden to succeed. I think he's got a ton of talent, but he's got to learn to pursue better. He's got to learn to recognize plays better and be able to adjust. And that's something I don't think we've seen him do yet. So for Pascal, my expectations are to just be productive. I don't need you to put up crazy numbers. I just need you to be productive and help out this front seven. Because right now you got a bunch of minuses. So if you can give me a net positive on you, I'm good with it.
Yeah, but going back to the larger question, what it feels like to me, because you look back at our draft, outside of Jameson Williams with our second first-round pick, Brad Holmes targeted defense heavy early. It's starting to look like he put some unwarranted faith in his draft picks and decided these guys will be sufficient. I don't need to address much of this further in free agency. Does that make any sense to you?
No. Because you look back at what he's drafted, all right? Let's go back through here. Offensively speaking,
what are you going back to this last draft, or
the only two drafts he has with the Lions?
Oh, you're going through his whole.
Yeah.
Okay.
Penny Sewell, offensively, very good player. Love him.
Yes.
I mean, almost a no-brainer, but love him. Then you look at his other offensive pick, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Great. Love him. Jamar Jefferson, it's a seventh-round pick. Who cares? Your defensive picks. Levi Onwuzurike. What's he done? He was a second-round pick.
Cheerleader off the bench?
Pretty much. Aleem McNeil.
Honestly, how many games has he played?
16 apparently. He just wasn't very effective last year. Yeah, he played 16
I feel like he was hurt
year.
half of last year and hasn't played this year.
He had one sack and 35 combined tackles in 16 games. He had also 2 pass deflections. Aleem McNeil. He's been okay. Third round pick, I don't know. I don't think he's been that great. He's been all right. I do think there's potential with Aleem McNeil. Ifeatu Melifonwu, another third round pick. What the hell's he done?
Disappointed.
Nothing. Derek Barnes.
Disappointed.
Largely disappointing.
I had high hopes for Derek Barnes.
I did too. I really did. I thought Derek Barnes was going to be a good player. And he's honestly taken a step back this year. You look at 2022. Aiden Hutchinson.
A whole lot of defense.
Aiden Hutchinson. Okay. We don't know enough yet, but he hasn't looked great.
Yeah, we don't know enough yet about anyone on this list to really make a judgment. But.
Right. Kirby Joseph. He's looked lost. Malcolm Rodriguez. There's a bright spot. 6th round pick. Definite bright spot. James Houston. The hell's he done? Chase Lucas. The hell's he done? Defensively speaking, Brad Holmes hasn't done a damn thing right. Outside of maybe Rodrigo. And maybe Aiden Hutchinson.
So you're saying that eye for talent is specifically offensive talent? Is this the hypothesis we're putting forward?
It sure as hell looking that way. Because, I can't really say anything about Josh Pascal because he hasn't even gotten to play. But
we can't say anything about Jameson Williams, obviously.
Right, but you knew he was hurt going into the year.
Same with Jameson Williams.
Not a single one of your defensive picks has succeeded so far. And I'm not going to say Rodriguez has succeeded because, well, yes, he's definitely beat expectations for 6th round pick. It's not like the guy's a great linebacker by any means. Not yet, anyways. So maybe Brad Holmes doesn't have the eye for the draft that we thought he did.
Defensively speaking.
Sure. And honestly, second-round picks for him have been, well, terrible. Third-round picks for him have been, well, terrible. For the most part, anyways. Like, he does really well in the 6th round, though. Because what does he have in the 6th round?
He's got Derek Barnes. No, St. Brown was the 5th round.
St. Brown was 4th round. 4th round, sorry.
Oh, 4th round pick.
Yeah, 4th round for St. Brown, and then he was 6th round for Rodriguez. Okay, so they didn't have a 6th round pick last year. They had 2 4ths and 2 3rds. If you're gonna be shorthanded through the draft because of injury on defense, please do something about it in free agency.
Yeah, I mean,
what are your hopes for the rest of the season? Like, looking at what we have with the coaching, what's your hope for the rest of this year?
I don't have any. I'm at the point where I don't quite trust our coach at this point. I'm at the point where depth is a severe issue, at least on the defensive side of the ball. And I'm at the point where I don't really see us winning, at least in the next 3 games, let alone any more in the future until we get healthy.
Schedule now. The first 5-6 games of your season were supposed to be the easy part of your schedule.
Yeah.
Things don't get any easier from here on out.
Does DeAndre Swift come back next week? Is there any news on him?
I don't know. I haven't seen any news on him yet. I'm not sure. But you've got Cowboys, Dolphins, Packers, Bears on the road. Right now, do the Lions beat the Bears?
Yes.
On the road, in Chicago.
Yes. Because remember, Lions' weakness is their defense. You could put a team of toddlers on the field. I think Justin Fields is still not going to hit his target.
You know what? The one thing that the Bears do that the Lions do not do well, they run the ball a little bit. And especially at the quarterback position. And guess what? One of the Lions' biggest weaknesses on defense is stopping quarterbacks that can run. And guess what Fields probably does best? Run the ball.
Wait, how many running quarterbacks have we faced so far this year?
Just Hurts. However,
Hurts killed us.
Geno Smith killed you on the ground. I think even Carson Wentz had a couple of runs that were able to get out there. Yeah, he had 2 rushes for 23 yards. He was able to get out of the pocket and make something happen. Kirk Cousins is quite literally a statue, so you don't even have to worry about that. Geno Smith killed you on the ground. He had 7 rushes for 49 yards and a touchdown. You don't stop running quarterbacks. Not well. And Jalen Hurts ran all over you. So,
to bring it back to the main topic here, how can Lions fans look at what's happening with the Jets, the Giants, hell, even the Chicago Bears, because they have a better record than you, and feel good at all about where this team is heading?
You shouldn't. you shouldn't.
There are plenty of fans out there that say, give it more time. Give it more time. Which, in all fairness, sure, but like, I don't have to feel good about it.
Let me ask you this. Is that Lions offense, what we've seen so far, fool's gold?
I'm going to say no because Ben Johnson might be the only person on this coaching staff that I trust right now.
Then why the hell did you put up 0 points against the Patriots?
The Patriots defense is really damn good.
Why the hell did you put up 0 points? You know how hard it is to get shut out in the NFL?
It's also very hard to score points in the NFL.
It's a hell of a lot easier to score points than it is to stop someone from scoring points. Hell of a lot easier. Yeah. You can fall into the end zone.
But
trip your way up and down the field, especially in a game like that where there was penalties galore.
Yeah, I think that was just purely Belichick out coaching. Dan Campbell did not look like he belonged on the same.
But Ben Johnson's the one calling the plays. So why the hell couldn't we score?
Well,
you look at you also you look
plays,
at the.
But Dan Campbell's still the one game planning.
You look at the home versus road scoring. Lions look great at home. On the road, that Vikings game, they weren't that great. 24 points isn't that good. They have 24 total points on the road this year in 2 games. That isn't good at all.
Yeah, it's 2 games. One's a shutout.
24 points isn't that great either against a Vikings team.
2 games is a very small road sample size.
Right. And 3 games at home is a very small home sample size. So I can take it back the other way. I honestly do think that the offense from what we've seen so far is kind of fool's gold. I really do believe that. I think they've been fortunate. I think they've gotten above expectation play from Jared Goff that I don't think is sustainable for him.
Oh yeah, I don't think what we're doing is sustainable, but I don't think the offense is bad. Is what I'm saying. Like,
I'm not saying it's bad. I just think
it's a good offense.
I don't think
it's the best offense in the league. No, which is what we were.
I think this offense is outside the top 10 in all reality. I don't think they're a top 10 offense in this league. I think their offensive line is top 10. I think their offensive line's top 5.
Yeah,
but especially not healthy. I think this offense is probably bottom half of the league when not healthy. And I'm talking guys like St. Brown and Swift. Those guys go down, you're screwed. You're bottom half of the league offensively speaking. You don't have a lot of depth there. And that's been proven.
DJ Chark should have been a depth piece. I don't know what is happening with him.
Hasn't put it together with Jared Goff.
But yeah, no, it's like I don't think I'd personally go bottom half of the league.
I'm saying when unhealthy, when you don't have Swift and St. Brown,
because I think that offensive line alone is enough to sustain the run game, which is enough to open things up for you not to be bottom half of the league.
Are they? Because they sure as hell didn't sustain the run game against the Patriots. They looked terrible on the ground.
That's 1 in 5 games that they look terrible offensively, and it was against a really good Patriots defense.
You didn't look that great on the ground against Minnesota either.
Still looked like he had a decently good offense against Minnesota. Not bottom 15 offense.
You had bottom 15 offense that week, I believe, yes. You had maybe...
There's no way 24 points is bottom 15
You had probably
offense.
Very middle of the road, somewhere in the 14 to 18 range.
Either way, back to what I was saying is that I still do feel like Ben Johnson's the only person on this coaching staff that I can trust, and that's why I think that they can still at least beat the Bears.
Can you trust him enough to get Dan Campbell out of his way? Because I can't.
That's what I said last week. I said, can Dan Campbell just hand over 4th down play calls to Ben Johnson?
How about you just play football the way it's supposed to be played? Yeah. If you have a 4th down in your own field position, you punt the damn ball. If you have a 4th and 9, you kick the damn ball. This isn't video games. You don't need to go for it on 4th down every single damn play to win a game. Clearly, it isn't working for you. Clearly.
So, honest question, you don't think the Lions could beat the Chicago Bears?
Oh, of course I think they can. But I don't think that, coming into the season, I was like, that's a win.
What week is the Bears game?
It's the week after the Packers, so the 4th game of the next 4 weeks.
So, I'm just trying to think, knock on wood, hopefully, should have most of our offense back by then.
God, I hope so. If Jameson Williams isn't back
currently
that game.
I'm just curious. If you had to set a spread on this game right now, what would you look for the Bears game in week 10 from now?
Bears minus 2.5.
It's Bears minus 1.5.
That doesn't surprise me. They should be favored. They're right now the better football team. Defensively speaking, not offensively speaking, obviously, but defensively they certainly are. And I'll be honest with you, from what I've seen, I think the Bears could score on the Lions. Because the one thing the Bears do well offensively is something the Lions can't stop worth a damn. I'm not saying that I don't think the Lions can beat the Bears. I think the Lions can and will beat the Bears. I just think that game is very much in doubt compared to what I thought it originally was. A couple weeks ago, I was like, there's no way in hell.
Both Bears games are supposed to be a shoo-in.
Yeah, a couple weeks ago, I was saying there's no way in hell we're losing to the Bears. Now?
It's annoying because there's games in our schedule that when we talk about having an easy schedule, we're supposed to be one of those easy games, aka the Giants. And now you're like, well, I don't know if we can beat the Giants.
The Giants, the Jaguars, the Jets. Supposed to be easy games. They don't look that easy anymore. Panthers suck. We'll probably beat them. It's hard to find 5 wins here. Because how many wins do we need to...
We're not even favored against the Panthers. We're 2.5-point dogs.
Oh, my God. That's a little disrespectful.
We are favored in week 17 against the Bears when we're at home by 1.5.
Well, that's good. Gee. This team is a much better team at home.
Are there people out there? I'm sure there are, but are there people out there that place a single game bet for week 17 from now?
Oh, I'm sure there are. Especially if a line is good, they like.
But there's no way you're going to know if that's still a good line.
There's a very realistic possibility that someone is taking the Bears plus 1.5 in that week. You're getting points one. And two, the Lions could be dead in the water by then. And maybe Fields hits a stride. Like momentum, those are momentum type bets to where one team has a hell of a lot more momentum than the other.
But you're doing this like 10 weeks out.
I never said it was smart.
All right, should we move on to the Pistons?
Please.
Thank you.
Do me a favor.
Well, I guess we'll start with the preseason. Like, not the greatest showing.
Well, that's being nice.
Cade Cunningham looked like a shadow of himself. Jane Ivey looks like he can score, but outside of
can't shoot,
struggle to protect the ball. I'll give you one positive.
Jalen Duren.
Killian Hayes looks a lot more aggressive, and his shot does look different.
You know what? I'll give you that. Killian Hayes, albeit very inconsistent throughout this preseason, has been more aggressive and has shown an offensive ability at some points during this offseason. Yes, there were games where he was trying it and it just wasn't falling. Then there were the games
game against the Thunder fun.
Sure, as much fun as preseason basketball can be.
Yeah.
But there were games that like Killian played well, being efficient, making shots fall, and making plays for himself. Like I hope to see this transition into the regular season and continue. I need to see more of it from him. That's all. Like I'm not going to buy into preseason too much on either side of the coin.
Yep.
Like
exactly.
Don't get me wrong. I've always said that I'm not going to buy into things going overly positive in the preseason. I'm also not going to buy too much into things going overly negative in the preseason either. I don't think Cade Cunningham is that player.
Here's one thing you can buy into. Although Marvin Bagley's injury looks like he avoided serious injuries, but he's probably going to be out a minimum of 4 weeks.
Yes.
You're going to get a lot more Jalen Duren run than you expected.
This was, in my opinion, this was his path to staying in the NBA, not going to the G League. And I'll be honest with you, from what I have seen, you may have like a Ben Wallace / Dwight Howard light here. Dude rebounds the hell out of the ball, blocks shots, has some
obviously
bounce.
He's making a lot of rookie mistakes, but he's 18.
But I mean, he's 18 years old. See, that right there is why I had him pegged for the G League, because of the rookie mistakes. Like that stuff, you go and figure out. You go down, you figure it out, you come back up when you're ready. He's 18. Like in today's NBA, that's few and far between.
Yeah.
So, but if he is going to stay up here, I'll be honest with you, I'm not going to be mad about it at this point. Like I'm a little weary of it because I don't want it to negatively affect him, and I don't want to see him get into bad habits in a game that moves too quickly for an 18-year-old. However, again, you have a guy who rebounds the hell out of the ball and blocks some shots and can provide at least a little bit offensively.
And with Nerlens Noel hurt and Bagley hurt, like he's
right.
He's going to get some run, whether you like it or not at this point.
He has to. You have to play him now.
Yeah.
Like and I know I say there's lofty praise there when I say like you may have found the next Ben Wallace or Dwight Howard here. Like there are comparisons that can be drawn there, especially with Dwight Howard. Very similar types of games, and Dwight Howard looked very in a lot of ways similar to Ben Wallace with the way that he played defensively and the way he rebounded the ball.
But Duren does have the Howard body type.
He does. Very much the Howard body type, yes. I'm excited about Jalen Duren. He's been one of my lone bright spots in this preseason. Like it's been fun to watch him, and I'm excited to see this kid grow and play in this league because I think if he builds some strength on that frame, like I would love to see him be dominant down low in this league because straight up, what wins games in this league has proven to be the guys that can. The Joel Embiids, the Nikola Jokic's of the Giannis's of the league, the KDs, the guys, those 7-footers that can play ball, be the best player on the floor. And if Duren can slow down those guys, it makes it a hell of a lot tough for their team to win, let me tell you.
Yeah. He's at the very least another body in the paint. But quick question before
the best body in the paint that we've had in a long time.
Yeah. But a quick question before we get into our main topic here on the Pistons. I know you say don't buy into preseason. Are you at all worried about Cade's preseason?
No.
Okay.
Because I know that's not him. He may have been trying something out. And yes, there is a very realistic possibility of a sophomore slump. That's why it's called a sophomore slump.
Yeah.
However, I don't believe that is the player Cade is. I think maybe Dwayne Casey was asking him to focus on certain things, and that took away from him playing his game. Like, when Cade Cunningham is out there playing his brand of basketball, there's not a ton of players that are better than him in this league. And come regular season, when the games count, when possessions matter, Cade's going to play his brand of basketball. And I full belief in him. He showed me enough last year to say that I'm not going to buy into that preseason. I'm not. I'm not going to sit here and play freak out game like Pistons Reddit. Cade's our guy.
Another question. What are your thoughts on, in the final preseason game, Isaiah Stewart taking 10 of his 13 shots from beyond the three-point line?
That was Dwayne Casey saying, get out there and have fun, big fella. That's what that was. And you know what, honestly?
No, he still shot 40% on 10 threes.
He did. Honestly, if you're just going to go out there and say, have fun, big fella, I love it. Nothing wrong with that. It's preseason.
Have fun with it.
Exactly. That's what that type of environment's for. Go have fun.
Yeah. But no, I agree 100% on both your takes. I don't think people understand this is Cade Cunningham's first preseason in the NBA.
Yeah. Because he didn't play in last year's preseason. He was hurt.
Exactly. But it's like people are suddenly so quick to forget what we saw from Cade Cunningham last season. And all of a sudden, 5 games of preseason, Cade Cunningham is the real Cade Cunningham now.
Let's just put it this way. Cade Cunningham did things on the basketball floor that only Michael Jordan ever did. Well, all right. It's not just lofty, it's a fact.
Yeah, no.
The game we went to, he had a stat line that only Michael Jordan was the other player to ever do that.
Yeah. It's a lofty fact.
It is. But that tells you how good of a player he is and why you should have reasons to just believe in the guy. Don't buy into preseason.
But speaking of Cade, we have James Edwards published his.
Did you cop a teal jersey by any chance?
Nope, didn't make it in time.
Me neither.
I think my girl got a beef stew one though.
Oh, okay. Why him? Don't get me wrong. Oh, does she? All right.
Yeah.
All right. I like it.
But so he put out his annual preseason before the season predictions for the regular season. So he has 7 here, and I want to play a little game of Buy or Sell.
Okay.
Because I like that game.
We love that game here on this show.
Right back to Cade Cunningham. His first prediction: Cade Cunningham will be a borderline All-Star this season.
Ooh, it's a very soft buy for me. As much as I want him to and think he has the talent to, I don't think he's quite ready to take that step. But I'll have a soft buy here. I know I'm sitting on the fence with this one, but I'll buy it.
I think I agree with you. And just to give you some of James Edwards' reasoning here, he did. So he's predicting that Cade Cunningham will shoot a 3-ball better than he did as a rookie.
I think he'll have more space. So yeah,
he thinks he's going to average more assists just simply because of the talent, the added talent around him.
I agree.
And he thinks he'll get more open looks because Bogdanovich has to get some attention to defense. Jay Ivey has to get some attention to defense. So yeah, more space. So he's saying he wouldn't be surprised if you see if Cade Cunningham's a 20-plus point scorer this season, especially considering he finished the last 3 months of the season last year being a 20-plus point scorer.
I was going to say, I think that there's little doubt. I shouldn't say little doubt. My expectations for him are 20-plus points this year.
Basically, he's saying the only reason Cade Cunningham would miss is just because of the depth of guards in the East.
Yeah, well, and that's kind of my thought process too. Going through the guards in the East, there's a lot of really good ones. So that's why I say borderline All-Star might be a little bit lofty just because of the competition that's there. He might not be, the first, second, or third guy off the roster. He might be the fourth or fifth, but if you put him in the West, he probably would have been first or second off.
Yeah, I'd agree. Speaking of the depth in the East, Detroit misses the postseason. Sorry.
I buy that. I don't think this team is that close, and they might even be a little bit further away than I had expected them to be. I said the ceiling for them was a 10 seed, really, a 9-10 seed with about 35 wins. I think this team is probably closer to 25 wins than 35 wins after what I've seen. However, I'm still putting my expectations at a 31 season.
Same. You got to beat the 29.5 line. You got to beat the Vegas 29.5 line.
Like I believe I said my expectations were about 32, 33 wins, and that's pretty much what I'm sticking at.
Yeah, I agree. And this is a very, very young team, so it's hard to put playoff expectations on them just for that alone, but just the fact of how deep and how strong the East is, like it's legitimately difficult to find 4 teams.
This may be the deepest Eastern Conference we've seen in our lifetime.
It might be.
Like, I'd have to go back through the history books.
Eastern Conference has been the weak conference for most of my lifetime.
We'd have to go back through the history books to double check that, but I actually legitimately do think this is the best Eastern Conference we've seen in our lifetime.
At least prediction wise. Shit could go south real quick, which that'd be good for us.
I mean, there's a lot of reasons things could falter for teams, but
next prediction. Isaiah Stewart will shoot 34% or better from 3 while taking at least 3 attempts per game.
Man, that's a tough one. At least 34%?
We'll shoot 34% or better, yep.
Oh, man. I so badly want to say bye. I don't know, though, man. I think I'm going to have to sell this one. I think he shoots around 32, 33%. Like, I think he's right there.
I told you, I'm fully bought in Isaiah Stewart. I'm buying this.
I love it.
I am buying this, baby.
I so badly want to buy it. I'm just not
He did it to close out last year.
Did.
He did it, and then he did it in summer league as much as you want to buy into that. He did it in the preseason. He's shown me no reason he can't do it. That's all I'm saying.
Other than that, he's never done it. So.
Next prediction: Jaden Ivey will lead the Pistons in free throw attempts.
Bye. That dude just has a tenacity to get to the rim.
This one has me torn.
The only other guy I could think of is Cade.
But Cade doesn't get that. Like, Cade didn't get that respect last year. Like, will he start getting it this year?
Right. Like, Cade is more willing to adjust his if Cade's one of those guys where he's crafty with the basketball. So if he's going to the lane and he knows that there's going to be some abuse there, he'll make a different move and like settle for a turnaround jumper down on the baseline or something like that he's really good at, and it's smart and it's good play, and that's why he's one of the best post guards in the NBA. Jaden Ivey, on the other hand, is one of those guys that if he's going to the rim, he ain't stopping.
Yeah,
and that's where guys like that get the calls. Yeah,
he's the exact type of player that is going to get to the line. Like, case in point, the Pelicans game in the preseason, he took 9 free throws that game, made all 9 too. The one thing I'm torn about here is the fact that he's a rookie.
Yeah. That is fair.
Is he going to get? He's going to draw fouls. Yes. Are they going to get called for me? Is the question.
I think again, though. I think the one thing that you got to look at with between Cade and Jaden Ivey is Cade was again more willing to adjust his shot. When you adjust your shot,
he was also a bigger body, so it's
he is, and you don't normally get the calls when you adjust your shot.
Yeah.
If you don't adjust your shot and you just go down and take the harm, you're more likely to get the call.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm factoring into it.
Bigger body also gets less calls.
Yes.
Unless you're LeBron.
That's true. And Harden, too. He's a big boy.
Dude, what? Harden's what, 6'5"?
Yeah, but he weighs like 300 pounds.
Yeah. All right. Next one. Detroit will make just one trade during the season.
So, I think there's still some guys in this roster that they're willing to move at the deadline. You got Bogey.
You got a lot of expiring deals.
You have
on
a
this
lot
roster
of expiring
that
deals
can
on
be
this
moved.
roster. Yes, I think there's at least a couple there.
Yeah, and knowing Troy Weaver, he's not going to just sit on that. Like the man is.
You mean the trade Weaver?
The man is the second coming of Trader Jack.
Yeah.
Like, no, I agree with you. I definitely sell that, and I hope I'm right.
Honestly, yeah, because there's a lot of value in expiring deals in this team. You may end up with another first round pick.
All right, here's one that's addressing something that we talked about. Jalen Duren will play significantly more NBA games and G League games this season.
Yes, I buy that, and I know it's kind of cheating because a lot of it is going to be because of injury, but I'll be honest.
Boost I need to buy it.
Right. I'll be honest with you though. Like, I feel like he's one of those guys that he's going to do enough to maintain his piece of the minutes in that time. He's being given an opportunity, and I think he's going to take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I agree. He's from that first preseason game, I'd said I don't think he's really going to touch the G League much, and then the injuries happened, and it really looking like they're going to need him on this roster. And he fills a need. He fills that verticality that you need down low.
It's not great that you're in a position where you have to rely on an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
But, like, I think he can hold his own. I do. Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's going to be some growing pains in a lot of them. Mm-hmm. But, like, and in all honesty, in a perfect world, yes, I would like him to go to the G League. However, it is not a perfect world, and he may be the best center on the roster. So he may be the only center on the roster at this point. So, at that point, I'd like to see him stay up with the team.
James Edwards does bring up a good point in this prediction, and it's one that we haven't really considered. He talks about how a lot of what Jalen Duren has to work on is both technique, positioning, like a lot of mental stuff too. He's saying how up to this point he's been able to get by with his physical gifts and hasn't really had to focus too much on that. And he's saying that if he were to go down to G League, he doesn't think it would do a ton for his development because he would just be able to rely on that and just dominate in the G League because not a lot of people built like him. So he doesn't think it would do a ton for his development.
Two schools of thought with that one. Mm-hmm. One, there is that where he would go back and start relying on his physicality again. Mm-hmm. But there's also the thought process of he goes down there and gets more hands-on coaching to develop those aspects of his game where he's able to do it in an environment that allows him to move at the speed he needs to properly develop those tools. Versus the NBA, he might not have the ability to do that.
Yep.
Because of the speed of the game and the physicality of the game and how tough it is mentally and physically. Like it just he might not have the room to do that, and he may have to rely on some of that physicality a little bit more. So there's two schools of thought you can take with it, and I think it really depends on how much you trust the mental fortitude of the player and how much you trust your G League in development coaching.
You bring up a good point. Like it's a thing of he's only gonna. I mean, yes, more likely than not, he'll revert to relying on his physicality, but he's only going to rely on his physicality if he allows himself to rely on his physicality. Right. Like, you do have to tap into the mental state of the player.
In an NBA environment, he may only have that option to rely on his physicality because the game just moves too quick for his mentality. So there's positives to each side of the coin, and there's negatives to each side as well. What was his prediction for the Jaden Ivey leading the team in free throws?
In terms of like the explanation for it?
Yeah.
Usage, pressure on the rim, and non-existent mid-range game at this point in time. So his only way of scoring
that kind of is a factor we didn't really talk about. He's not a great shooter. What was his
and obviously the fact that like what you said, he doesn't shy away from contact.
Right.
He's got the athleticism and body contortion, the ability to take the contact and find a way to put a shot up too.
What was the Isaiah Stewart explanation?
Shot 7 of 18 from 3 during the preseason, 39%. He said based on that and what he's been doing up until this point, he doesn't think it's a fluke. And the team's going to be giving him a lot of space to hit open threes. So
that is also a factor I didn't really think about. Is he's going to have a lot of space to have those open threes. Yeah. You've got Cade, Ivy, Bogey out there with Bay. He's gonna that 3-point line might get a little crowded. Yep. You might be able to run a true 4-out 1 in with this team.
There's one thing that I do find funny though. He said bad shooters don't do what Isaiah Stewart did against Memphis, which was he took 10 threes, made 4 shot 40%. Andre Drummond would have had to hit one more 3 in his next 7 attempts to go 4 for 10. In that last Bulls game where he went 3 for 3 from the 3-point line. And I don't think Andre Drummond's a particularly good shooter. I'm still very confused.
Did you see his shot? Like, have you seen the videos of him shooting those threes?
Yeah.
That is one ugly ass shot.
I'm so confused. I am beyond confused.
An NBA player wide open at the 3-point line. That's what that is. Like
he wasn't making those. Still,
I understand, but like sometimes you just get out there and you tell him, "Go have fun, kid."
That was literally all we wanted from his 3-point shooting. A bit like development was just make him if you're wide open. And that's it.
And honestly, that's what I'm asking of Isaiah Stewart. Make him if you're wide open. If you've got separation, make the shot.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get open looks. He's going to get open looks this year, and there's probably going to be plenty of them. Because there's a lot of threat there.
Speaking of 3-point shooting, our last prediction here, Saddiq Bey will be the Pistons' best 3-point shooter.
Yes, I buy that. I really, the only competition in my mind is Bogey. And frankly, I think Bay has just done things from outside. His outside ability, I think, is very understated. He broke a Pistons record for 3-pointers.
Yeah.
Was it single season or was it a rookie in a single season? I don't remember.
That's a great question.
I don't remember, but he regardless, he is in the record books from outside the 3-point line in some facet in the Pistons history. He is a really good 3-point shooter, albeit somewhat inconsistent. But I do think that he's got the chance to be, because he's going to get more open looks. So I think he's got a really good opportunity to be the best 3-point shooter on this team.
I'm actually going to sell it, and just purely based off numbers for me, to be honest.
That's fair. I mean,
he started his rookie season, he was 38%. He declined in his sophomore season, 34.6%. Bogey on his career is a 39% 3-point shooter.
That is true. Bogey is a sharpshooter from out there.
Now, he's saying best 3-point shooter. He didn't quite specify if that's by number of 3-pointers made or if that's by percentage. He did close it out by saying, I'll pencil and Bay for 38% shooting on 7.5 3-point attempts per game.
I like those numbers.
Which tells me it's probably based on percentage. And if it's on percentage, I would be more inclined to lean Bogey. If it's on volume, if it's on the amount of threes made, then I'd probably go Sadiq. But I'm going to go with Bogey, personally.
Well, shit, then Andre Drummond's the best 3-point shooter in the league.
Yeah.
No,
but his reasoning is a lot like what you said. You think he thinks he's gonna get a lot more spacing out there.
I do think he's gonna get a lot of spacing and opportunity. I kind of like Bogey is a sharpshooter out there. I just don't know, because in my opinion, it's got to be more than just efficiency. It's got to be more than just the percentage at what you're making them. It's got to be a mixture of volume and percentage. And I think Bay probably will have, if not the most, the second most volume. And I don't think Bogey's going to quite get that volume. Granted, Bogey's going to probably make a higher percentage of them. You know, Bogey may shoot 39, 40% from outside. But Bay shooting 37%, but taking 2 to 3 more of them a game, I'd probably take Bay as a better 3-point shooter on the Pistons roster as it is at that point. But who knows at that point? But again, Bogey could also get a lot of looks this year. You know, it's not like they don't need a shooter, because they absolutely desperately do, and he's the guy that they brought in for it. So I absolutely could see Bogey and Bay both getting like 6, 7 looks a game. And at that point, if Bogey's making more of them, he's the better shooter.
I'm going to give you one just from me. Killian Hayes averages career highs in points, field goal attempts, and field goal percentage.
All right, give me some baselines here. Let me see. Let me pull up his numbers real quick.
I mean, it's not a very high bar.
No, it's not. But I like to do my homework and make sure I'm given a fair split here.
So, his highest field goal percentage year was last year, 38.3%. That's overall percentage, not from 3.
That's pretty bad. That's pretty bad.
6.9 points per game. I don't have the attempts in front of me here. I can probably pull them up, though. Field goal attempt 7.7 is his highest, and that was his rookie season. So he would have to, basically, let's say he would have to average 8 field goal attempts per game and shoot 40% overall and average 7 points per game. That's all you would have to do to clear that bar. I would probably actually set the expectation higher, but that's literally all you have to do to clear that bar.
That is with the expectation that he's playing 25 minutes a game still, which he's going to have to, like, at this point in his career and with the way the team's constructed, he's going to have to earn those minutes now. Before, they were pretty much just given to him. He has to earn them at this point.
Yeah,
so
that's why I'm saying that prediction. It's basically an efficiency prediction on Killian Hayes.
Yeah, I'll buy that. I think Killian is trying to transform his game, and I think he's starting to carve out a role off the bench, and they obviously need some scoring off the bench, and some of that load's going to have to go to him. So, yeah, I'll say he has a career high in field goal attempts, points, and field goal percentage.
And he needs to. So.
He does. If he, in all honesty, if he wants to have a spot on this roster going forward, he does need to. Absolutely. He can't afford to take a step back or just maintain status quo, because you can find a guard that can play defense and provide little offensively in a lot of different places in this league.
Yeah, no, I expect a couple point per game jump. I would be ecstatic if he could average 10, but
wouldn't that be nice? 10 and 5 out of Killian off the bench.
Yeah.
That'd be great. Shooting 40%.
I saw someone on Twitter say he actually predict Killian for 10, 5, and 5 off the bench. I'm like, okay, relax.
Let's chill on the 5 rebounds.
Let's not buy the preseason too much.
Dude's never averaged more than 3 points. Dude's never even averaged 3.5 rebounds a game. So let's chill. Mm-hmm. Assist wise, I think he can hit that. He averaged 5.25 his rookie year, and he took a step back last year, 4.2. But
not to mention, once Nolan's and Marvin Bagley are healthy, you can have enough depth at the down low to where there's not going to be that many rebounding opportunities for Killian Hayes.
Like I don't see him getting a ton of rebounds at 10. Do I think he can average 10 and 5? Yes. Now here's one for you. Killian Hayes will shoot 30% from outside this year.
Bye. I actually put the number at like 32%.
Well, you do know that's a 6%
that's a huge jump
from last year.
Yeah.
That's huge.
I like what I saw. Let's just put it that way.
All right. I like it. I like it. I want to buy it too. Obviously, we are very much more optimistic on the Pistons than we are the Lions. That's for damn sure.
Can you see on? I wonder if you can see on Basketball Reference like preseason numbers.
I don't. At least not on his page. I do not see them.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious what Killian Hayes shot overall for the preseason.
I'm sure it's an easy one we can pull up. Give me just a second here. All right, I got it. Fox Sports coming through.
Okay.
If it will ever load. All right, here we go. This year, he averaged 24.7 minutes, 12 points per game, 42.4% shooting, 33.3% from outside.
Okay.
So, there it is.
Now, take the points per game with a grain of salt because obviously I think he's going to be getting more minutes in the preseason than he's actually going to get in the regular season. But
that would actually, if he only got 24.7 minutes per game, that would be a lower minutes total than he's ever had in his career in a season.
No, that is true.
He's never averaged below 25. So, granted, small sample size, but
I'm optimistic.
He did not shoot well from the line.
There was one specific sequence I remember where he drew a foul from the 3-point line and missed all 3 of the free throws.
He shot equally, like he was dead equal from outside as he was from the free throw line, 33.3%.
Here's the optimistic take. He drew fouls. He went to the line.
Okay, useless unless he's making them.
Yeah, but I think he averaged, one free throw attempt per game over his career?
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking the optimistic road and saying he at least took free throws.
Can you please just make them? That's all I need.
Jesus, how low we set the bar.
But in all reality, looking at I guess I won't look at his preseason totals from the years prior, but his shooting is looking to be much improved. 42.4% from the field, 33.3% outside. The only
his jumper does legitimately look.
Yes, it does look
different.
Better. It does. So maybe there is some optimism to be had with Killian Hayes and his offensive production going forward. Anyways, anything else to add before we close out?
That's everything.
All right, that is going to call for this week, guys. Thank you for listening. Follow us on Twitter at RealFanReport, and thank you to Detroit Sports Podcast for hosting us, as always, at Detroit Podcast, where you can find them. We will catch you guys next week. Hopefully we get a Lions win and a Pistons home opener win, and some more Wings victories would be nice, too. This has been the Fan Reporters. Bye, fans.
Poor fans.
We will catch you guys next week. Have a good one. Enjoy. Peace out.
Deuces.